extracurriculars is to understand like who you are and whether you, are able to successfully navigate yourself in a social environment, and whether you pursue things outside of school and whether you're proactive about it. This is to understand like whether you'll be able to survive on campus. So a lot of you, when you're applying to college, you're going to campuses, and when you get to campuses, you're going to be part of that community. And what these admissions officers are looking for is whether you can contribute and give back to that community. So the way you guys are doing right now, like, campuses have 700, 800 student clubs and things that are run by the students, a lot of them funded by the school. So they want to know how you'll thrive. So what they look for is the personal qualities, demonstrating originality, ability to commit, and finding interest. Now, when it comes to personal quality, they're checking if you have ingenuity, determination, creativity, resilience, compassion, intellectual rigor, or leadership, right? So for example, determination, like when you want to do something and set out to do it, are you actually doing it, or are you just fluff and talking about it, right? Like for example, resilience. If you face a challenge when you're like running a club or doing some activity, do you stress out about it and give up? Or do you actually just, persevere and like get through it and get things done? So that's really important. So basically these are, telling a story, these extracurriculars are telling a story about who you are and how you've come, you guys are growing and becoming an adult. So it's part of that process, and they just want to see whether you're slacking around watching Netflix or playing video games or actually doing the most of your time to the extent you can. Another thing is originality. So they want to see something original and unusual, right? So a lot of the times, like this, college admissions are saturated with kids who play piano or kids who've done soccer and things like that. It doesn't mean it's bad, but try to find something unique. And try to find something that's truly unusual. So for example, all of us are Mongolians, right? By blood, at least. So, find something there. Maybe learn the motor war or give back to the Mongolian community. Teach young Mongolians back home English during the summer if you can, or, you can do online. Anything is possible. So something that's unusual and unique. For example, the fellow student of Tuksoy who got into MIT, she makes matcha. So she and I believe that her matcha story got her into MIT, aside from the numbers that showcased who she was. So, have that unique differentiation, because these schools receive 20 to 50, 60,000 applications a year, and they want to remember who you are, right? So even if they don't remember your name, oh, it's that kid that plays the unique fiddle, or oh, it's the matcha girl. They have these hats that they place on you and memorize you in order to actually support your application within the broader application selection committee. And then the ability to commit. So in Mongolian we say so which means like, you have to see things through. Whether if you started something, for example, gendered, right? It's happening right now, but will they be able to pursue it and see it through in the longer run? That's what they're looking for. Right? So instead of just like doing a one-time gig, maybe they're looking for consistency and, success stories and like, real impact and results. So that's what that means. And then defining your interest, like we need to have a narrative with the application and build that, So for example, if the application is the matcha girl who does video games, that's the narrative. So we need to know what we're interested in so that we can express it better to the admissions office audience. So usually on the common application, which is the majority of what the schools accept in terms of application, they ask, what kind of impact your extracurricular has had. So they're looking for impact, not just attendance or filling in check boxes. So they have local, regional, local school, regional state, and international national activities that you did. So some examples could be like you raised $5,000 for new library computers, or led a touring club with 30 tutors supporting 100 peers, or lobbying for meatless Mondays in your school cafeteria. So as you can see, when you talk about numbers, there's a lot of, impact, there's a lot of numbers, like, specific numbers, the SMART metrics, where specific, measurable, So, $5,000, 30 tutors. It doesn't have to be like, change the world kind of level, but basically this is the impact that you have, very specific. For example, in the regional case, the increasing involvement amongst peers as city youth council member, or organizing a 5K run to raise funds for a local or state-based charity, or starting a traveling library that reaches underserved communities. So you can see like how much of a, from zero to something that people are making in terms of impact. And then international, you can start a YouTube channel that teaches something, represent your state and country at UN models. So one of the students, Sarang, does a lot of advocacy for mentally disabled students, and she goes around the nation like representing them. So that's one of the advocacy leadership things. Maybe winning a major academic or arts competition. So if things don't get organized at your school level, I would advise to go out and like seek stuff online, maybe in your county, in your district, or maybe like you can even apply this stuff from here to Mongolia, right? If it's an online essay competition, like why can't you, participate in it? So things like that. Be very proactive and look what opportunities are available. So in the 10th grade, what I would recommend is like find activities you enjoy in and after school. So it's not only in school that they're looking for, stuff that are happening outside. And if possible, maybe talk to your parents and say, I want to enroll in this, I want to register this, can you help me, the driving and logistics is quite complicated, but they'll be supporting you. And then try to combine your passion and interests to write that unique narrative. So if you have a love for matcha, how can you build on that and maybe selling matcha, or like instead of Girl Scout cookies, maybe making matcha. I don't know, like write a recipe book, video tutorials, I don't know. And then consider entering competitions, as I mentioned. So it could be anything, like they have tournaments, science fairs, cases, competitions, and things like that. So be on the lookout and try to expose yourself. In 11th grade, juniors will want to analyze what you've done so far and then determine, does that show impact? If not, it's now the time to start getting active and engaged. So for example, in the common application, you have 10 slots to fill, which is quite a big number, but some students have 20. So, you're competing with all these kids, and maybe 3 right now is on the lower end. So right now she's a junior. I'm just using it as an example, right? She's a junior, so she's analyzing how many extracurriculars she has, whether it's 100% sports, whether it's 100% academic. She wants to balance it out nicely. So I'll show you what a nice balance is. But basically now's the time to analyze it. And then if it's on the weaker end and she needs to fill in some areas, it's time to start participating in things, right? And then, look for leadership opportunities, that's a given. Research your future dream schools and see what the current students are involved in. So for example, if you want to go to NYU, what did the students that got into NYU did when they were, in high school and things like that. And then start writing down the contributions you've made. And then if you're interested in deep research, maybe consider doing the research. So the key takeaways, if you don't remember anything else, a successful balance. For example, we want to fill up the Common App 10 activities as much as possible. So we have maybe 2 activities related to volunteering and charity work. But yeah, it doesn't have to be completely volunteering. So, completely charity. It could be any kind of NGO volunteering, or, you could volunteer in your neighborhood. And then 3 to 5 activities in which you are a leader. So leadership is big, but it doesn't mean you have to be the president. You don't have to be the president of everything. It just means you show initiative. You could be the eldest kid, and that's kind of leadership skills. You took care of your 3 siblings, you taught them, homework, you helped them to, study their homework, you cooked for them, things like that. That's also leadership. So any kind of leadership skills. And then 1 to 3 academic activities and 1 to 2 non-school affiliated activities. And then at least 1 quirky activity reflecting something unusual like the matcha. And then so start building that list and make sure it aligns with the theme that you're trying to talk about in terms of who you want to show yourself as.